Hi guys, in this video I am going to take you through the basics of CSS. As part of this lesson, I will be covering the introduction to CSS, CSS syntax, selectors in CSS, adding CSS to a HTML page, color codes in CSS, and finally I will go through the CSS measurement unit. To understand CSS, one must have a basic understanding of HTML. If you do not know about HTML, please refer my previous videos. I have given the HTML video links in the description. Let's now see what is CSS. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet. If you want to add any styling such as adding colors, background, or if you need to change the default font of the page to a different font, then you will have to use CSS. CSS also can be used in position and align elements within the HTML page. The generic syntax of CSS is as given here. Any piece of CSS code starts with a selector. Following the selector is a curly bracket which encloses a set of key-value pair known as property names and values. Styling to the selected elements is applied using the property name and their corresponding values. Property names and values are key-value pairs separated by a colon in between them. Single key-value pair of property name and value is separated from the next set of key-value pair using the semicolon. We can have any number of key-value pairs for the selector. A HTML document is a multi-level tagged structure. If we need to select a section from the HTML page and make it available for styling, then we will have to use a selector. Provided here is an example syntax of CSS. Here in this example, body is the selector. Color and background color are property name. The value blue and #FFWEW are the property values. Here we have a simple HTML document with several HTML tags and attributes. If I need to select a specific item in the HTML page and add certain style to it, then I have to use a selector for selecting the specific element. For example, if I need to select all the A tags, then I will have to use the selector as A. Since we have used A as the selector in CSS, the selector selects all the A tags in the HTML document. If we need to add style to the selected A element, we can do so by adding the corresponding style property and value within the curly braces of the pertaining selector. Now that we have added a property named background color with the value set as red, the actual background color of the A tag changes within the HTML. As you can see here, the background color of the A tag will be changed to red in the actual HTML page. In the previous example, we have seen a very simple selector which uses tag name as the selector. There are also other methods using which we can select sections of HTML page. Currently, CSS provides 5 main classification of selectors. They are symbol selector, combinator selector, pseudo class selector, pseudo element selector, and attribute element selector. Let's now see each selector in detail. First, let's go through the symbol selector. Symbol selector is nothing but a selector which selects a section in a HTML based on the tag name or the class name or the ID. If we use a tag name in the HTML document to select an element, then it is a tag name based selector. You can use any tag name in the HTML page to use it as a selector. Examples are body, A, headers that range from H1 to H6, block code, P, etc. If you have a class name in the HTML body, you can use it as a selector as well by putting a dot in front of the class name in the CSS. In this example, you can use .para as the class name selector. Similarly, if you need to use an ID as a selector, you will have to use a hash in front of the ID name. Here we have an ID named quote in the block code tag, and if we use it as a hash quote in our CSS code, it becomes an ID selector. The next type of selector we are going to see is the combinator selector. Combinator selectors are the combination of two or more of the other types of selectors to enable selection in a HTML document. You can combine multiple selectors together to work together as a single selector. This is achieved by using certain symbols in between the other selectors. The different types of combinators are descendant, child, general, and adjacent sibling combinators. Let's see more about them in the next slide. The descendant combinator, which is indicated as a space in between two selectors. Secondly, there is the child combinator, which makes use of the greater than symbol to indicate that selected to the right side of the greater than symbol is a child to the object to the left of the symbol. The general sibling combinator selector is used to select a sibling of an element. It is denoted by the tilde symbol. The adjacent sibling selector is identified using the plus symbol. It is used to select an element that is right next to the another element at the same level. The descendant combinator selector is indicated as a space in between two selectors. Descendant combinator is used to select any child element within a parent element. Have a look at the sample HTML example in right side of the slide. Now look into the selector example given. The selector here is body space B, which will select all the B tags which are inside the body tag. This selector doesn't care whether the descendant is the direct child or a grandchild. All elements which are descendant to the corresponding parent will be selected. In the sample output, the first B element is selected, which is a direct child of the body element. Also in the second line, we got a B element selected. Since this is a child of the element P and P is the element of the element body. Next we have the child combinator, which makes use of the greater than symbol. The child combinator selects only a direct child. It doesn't select any grandchildren. Here in this example, body greater than B. Select only the B element which is directly within the body tag. It doesn't select the B element which resides within the P tag. The general sibling combinator selector is denoted by the tilde symbol. It is used to select a sibling of an element. In the given example H1 tilde B, the selector selects all the B elements that are siblings to the H1 element. As you can see, there are two B elements which are siblings of the H1 element, and both the B tags will get selected as per our selector example. The adjacent sibling selector is identified using the plus symbol. It is used to select a sibling element that is right next to the another element at the same level. In the example given here, H1 plus P, the selection will be done only on the B element that is right next to the H1 element. Pseudo class selector. CSS also allows you to select elements when the state of the element gets changed. For example, if you move the mouse pointer over a button, then a pseudo class will be applied on that element known as hover. Similarly, we have multiple other pseudo classes such as visited, active, empty, first child, last child, etc. Pseudo classes are generally prefixed with a colon symbol. You can see a full list of pseudo class in the mozilla.org URL as given in the slide. We will see more about pseudo classes in forthcoming demo. The pseudo element selector is used to select a specific part of the selected element. In the given example, P double colon first line. The selector first line is not a separate element, it is a section of the element P, and it is used to change background color of the first line of a paragraph. Pseudo element is indicated using a double colon. Few examples of pseudo elements are before, after, first letter, selection, etc. The final type of selector we are going to see is the attribute selector. The attribute selector selects an element based on the presence of an attribute with or without an attribute value. The attribute selector is denoted with the attribute name equals attribute value enclosed within square brackets. In the given selector example 1, the selector tends to select all the A tags that has a href which refers to http://www.google.com. The selector example 2 provides you with a selector which will select all the A tags that has an attribute named href irrespective of the attribute value. In case of attribute selector, instead of using equal to operator between attribute name and attribute value, we can also use other operators such as tilde equal to, pipe equal to, dollar equal to, etc. The details are given in the table field on the right side of the slide for your reference. There are three methods to add a CSS style to a home page. They are inline, internal and external CSS respectively. Let's see each of them in detail. If the style attribute is directly added to the corresponding element, then you have to use inline CSS styling. Inline CSS can be added to only one element as it is added within the start tag of a specific element. In sample example given here, we have applied the style attribute directly to the P element, thereby making it an inline CSS. Also, as a side note, do not use the inline style very frequently as it will mix up your content and style. It is a best practice to have your HTML content and style separately. Now let's see what an internal CSS is. Internal CSS are generally added within style tag that is placed within the head tag of the HTML document. The example here will give you an idea on how to add a CSS style as an internal CSS. Let's now move on to the next slide. External CSS are styling which is added to an external file with a .css extension. External style can be added to the HTML page using the link tag within the head tag. The example here uses an external CSS file named style.css. It is linked back to the HTML file using the link tag as provided in the HTML screenshot. CSS is all about styling a HTML page to make it look better. Color plays a big role in making a page looking better. Let's now see the different ways to identify colors in CSS. The first method is using the color name. If you know the name of the color, then you can directly use the color name in your CSS code. The second method is to use a 6-digit RGB hex code prefixed with a hash symbol. The first two characters indicate the placeholder for color red. The next two characters is the placeholder for green. And the final two characters is the placeholder for the color blue. FF is the highest value for a color and 00 is the lowest value. In the given example, the color red is given the value FF, green is given the value 03 and blue is given EA. This combination will give you a purplish color. The third method is to use a 3-digit hex. A 3-digit hex can be used in places where the set of characters corresponding to the specific color is duplicated for all three colors. Example, #55AABB can be shortened to #5AB since they are repeated. Similarly, #FFEEE can be shortened to #FEE. We also do have the RGB and the RGBA functions to set colors using CSS. The RGB function takes in three parameters. The first parameter is for color red, the second for the color green, and third for blue. The given example for RGB function has 255,0,0 as the value. This will give you the color red since the value for green and blue are set as zeros. We also have the RGBA function which is similar to RGB function except for an additional attribute in the RGBA function known as alpha. The value of alpha ranges from 0 to 1 and it is used to set the transparency of the selected color. A value of 1 in the alpha means that the color is fully opaque and 0 indicates that the color is fully transparent. You can have any digit within 0 and 1 as the alpha value. For example, if you set it as 0.5, it means that color will be semi-transparent. Let's now see some measurement units in CSS. Basically, there are two types of measurement units in CSS. The absolute measurement unit and the relative measurement unit. The absolute measurement units are fixed and they will appear in the exactly same size in which they are specified. Please look at the table over the left to identify certain absolute measurements. Among the absolute measurements, the px or the pixel is widely used. Relative measurement units is used to set a size relative to another size. If you are to develop a web page that is supposed to be displayed in both PC and mobile, it's suggested to use relative measurements. I have given a list of relative measurements on the table to the right. We will see how to use the measurements in forthcoming demos. That ends our first lesson in CSS. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, please press the like button. To subscribe to our channel, please click on the subscribe button. Thank you.